Hey, I'm Joseph Craven, and this is Hawk Talk, presented by Build Mississippi. Build Mississippi is a nonprofit that provides educational resources and training for almost 200 craft and trade programs. For more information, visit buildmississippi.com. Build Mississippi, your future is waiting, let's build it. Well, as you can tell, I am currently up here on top of the Chick-fil-A press box at Community Bank Field, where all the production magic happens on a Friday night. But we're not just talking Friday nights here on this episode of Hawk Talk. We're also talking about homecoming week and some of the other exciting things going on in our student life department. Don't go away. This is Hawk Talk. All right, we're here in the spiritual connection point in our upper school, and that is Kim Stroh. And Kim, for everyone at home's benefit, definitely not my own, what's your official job title?
That's a good question.
I stumped you on the first try.
You stumped me the first time. I believe it's assistant to student life.
Okay, cool. And the reason I asked that is because you, like many people at the school, you've had a lot of different roles, responsibilities over the years, but obviously now you are in student life, and you therefore, again, kind of have a lot of roles involved with student life. What are some of the things that you guys have been trying to focus on this year? Some of maybe the new things you want to work in, or just some of the overall goals that you've set for our students, our student body this year.
Yeah, well, it's constantly a changing job and a changing role because we're growing so much. And so one thing we really value is our students being connected to one another and connected to our teachers. And so that's of high priority to us. So we are always thinking of ways to help our students have those experiences. And so Coach Ingram and I get to work with our students, giving them some phenomenal experiences. And we start off the year doing a lot. So we've already done retreats for grades 5th through 12th, almost all of them.
Yeah.
We have 2 more to go. We have shifted our focus now to homecoming, which is coming up. And so our student council has done a really great job of helping us be innovative this year to keep some of the things we've always done, the traditions that we've built in over the past few years, but also to keep things fresh and keep things new.
When I started here, maybe the first year, 2019, or the same year rather. So like our first year is the same year, and it is wild in that short amount of time how much we've grown. Before we get into the homecoming stuff though, you mentioned the retreats. Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, that's something that we have focused on for years now. So when does that start? Does that start in 5th?
Starts in 5th grade.
Okay.
And so we start in 5th grade, and then we move up with the experiences each year. And so by the time you get into high school, we start our overnight retreats. And so 10th grade, we'll start our first year of 1 night, juniors go away 2 nights, and then the senior kind of capstone retreat experience is a 3-night.
They're gone all semester.
Yeah, they just don't even come. No, a 3-night retreat. They get to go whitewater rafting, which is really fun. We've been doing that for the past few years. We give the kids a lot of different opportunities to experience new things, but to also just have time together.
Yeah.
Our junior class is the largest class on campus. They have over 100 students, and so getting time where they can be together as a grade is really valuable. And so they had a great time.
That's awesome. Well, looking ahead, obviously we are, it is crazy to think that we are already as far into the school year as we are. You blink and it's gone by. Several weeks, a couple months have gone by, and like homecoming is just around the corner. Tell me a little bit about what we have to look forward to this year.
Yeah, well, the theme for this year is Let the Games Begin. So that game actually kicks off our, do we call it conference or district? What do we call it here?
Depends on what you district. We'll go with district.
District games.
With reclassification, none of us know what anything is called anymore. So.
Confusion all across. But we start our district games, and so we picked this theme of Let the Games Begin with a board game type theme. So everybody on campus, K-3 through seniors, including teachers, get to dress up in theme each day, which makes the day a little bit more fun. We'll have Girls Powder Puff starting the week on Monday. And then for the first time ever, we'll have the championship game at night, which will be Tuesday night. So they're very excited about that. And then for the next day, we are having Boys Powder Puff and our return of a big hit, which was The Masked Singer. And so if you are new to that, our teachers go undercover and they wear the big inflatable costumes and get up and sing a song, and the kids try to guess who they are. And so That was a hit last year. We're bringing that back. Wednesday, we'll have special events for 56 where they get to do a tailgate lunch, and they will get to participate in the Masked Singer. And then Thursday, 7th through 12th grade is having a water day. And so this is something Student Council really is excited about and has pushed for. So we've got some big inflatable slides coming in, some slip and slide, some water slip and slide kickball. It's gonna be really fun. And then Friday, the whole school gets to celebrate with our parades at the East Campus and the main campus, the pep rally here at the main campus, breakfast provided by HPA. And so it's just a lot of fun for our kids and just a lot of school spirit. After the football game, which is, the main point of the week, we cannot forget. After we win that football game, the 9th through 12th grade students will get to go to the dance at the Ivy. And so I mentioned that's the first time we're so big that we outgrew the theater, which has been where we've had the homecoming dance for years. And so we're going to go over to the Ivy, and that'll be really fun. And that's going to be a Just Dance theme at the video game.
Okay.
It's going to be a good time.
Well, it's super exciting, and we of course obviously appreciate all the work that you guys put into it. And I know we would be remiss if we didn't point out how much parental involvement and assistance goes into all this stuff as well. You mentioned HPA already, and it's really not always just HPA. It's also just a lot of other parents that help out in so many different ways. But I think it also always reflects a lot of what we try to do with our community entirely. And it's never just about the football team. It's never just about the homecoming court. It is about the entire student body has some way of buying in, contributing, and enjoying what's going on. We
were talking to our teachers about it yesterday, and we looked back at a video highlight from last year, and it is a lot of work, and we know that, but it is really special, the memories that are built in that week, and so it's real special. I'm thankful the school allows us to add the fun into the week. For our kids, for our community. Like you said, it builds that community, and that's really important.
Well, and it's just impressive you get to do, or that you can do all that you can do with the huge obstacle of having to work with Benton Ingram, which is just difficult.
I'm telling you what, man.
Just kidding. Kim Stroh, an unsung gem of Hartfield Academy. With all of the changes in the MAIS this season, we get asked a whole lot, well, how does all of this affect playoffs? We know now that we're not actually in the same division as the other big four, Jackson Prep, JA, and MRA. So they're not division opponents, but those games still matter quite a bit, right? And why do they matter? How does all of this work? Well, if you've been confused by the whole process, don't worry. Nobody has any idea what's going on. No, I'm just kidding. I've dug through. All the information is actually listed on the MAIS website, on the league office site, but I went ahead and did the digging myself to figure out exactly how to explain to you how the PowerPoints work and how football playoffs will be determined and how it will be broken up into its different levels. So the first thing of note, obviously, is that there is no longer a 1 through 6A as there has been for the past few years, but rather it's been kind of squished together into 4 divisions, 1A up to 4A, and the Hawks, of course, being in 4A District 2. So the question is, okay, how does that affect playoffs? How does seeding determine? Well, it's all based off of a PowerPoint system, which is not something new to the way that playoffs have been seeded before. It's just not something that we at the former 6A level have had to deal much with. So the way that a PowerPoint works is very surprisingly simple, all things considered. There are 3 numbers that are tallied up for every game that is on your football schedule. Those 3 numbers are determined by your opposition and where they fit in the 4 down to 1A. The second thing being your opposition's record on the season, how many wins they have in particular. The third number being whether or not you win the head-to-head matchup against them. So that first number, that number that is determined by the size of your opponent on any given night, well, it's broken down as such. Starting at the bottom of this chart here, you see the 4 largest 4A schools. That's your quote-unquote Big 4, Prep, JA, MRA, and Hartfield, of course. For scheduling one of those Big 4 teams, you're immediately awarded 32 points. If you schedule any of the other remaining 16 4A schools. For us, that would be schools in our district like East Rankin Academy, Lamar School, Heritage Academy, Starkville Academy. If you schedule one of them, you get 17 points on the front end just for scheduling them. Then if you schedule a 3A opponent, you're awarded 11 points, a 2A opponent, 8 points. So let's just say that you are an opponent scheduling Hartfield. Well, for scheduling us, you would immediately be given 32 points. The second number is completely determined by how well your opponent has done on the season so far. You'll notice that's the column labeled Opponent's Success. 3 points are given for every win or open date that opponent has. So that second number will change throughout the season based off of the amount of wins that a team accumulates. So again, for example, if somebody had Hartfield on the schedule, they would get 32 points for scheduling us, 3 more points because of the 1 victory we have to this point. And as the Hawks win more games and as the season goes along, that number will continue to grow, 3 points for every victory. The final number in this equation is the simplest one of them all. If you win a game, you're awarded 16 points. And if you don't win the game, well, you get no points out of it. Then you take those 3 numbers together, the number you get for scheduling the opponent, the number that you get depending on the opponent's wins, and then the 16 points or the 0 points that you get for winning or losing the game. You add them all together, that's the points you earned for that game. You take each of those results, add it up, divide it by the number of games played, you get your power point average. That's what determines whether you qualify for the Division I, Division II, or Division III playoffs at the end of the year. The top 4 power point averages, the 4 highest averages at the end of the season, those are the 4 teams that are put into Division I playoffs. It'll be a 4-team playoff. Outside of that, if you are in the next 6 teams, you are placed into the Division II playoffs and you play for a Division II championship instead. The 6 teams after that, Division III. That's how it's all broken down. So that's why when we're sitting here in these early season matchups, while they're very difficult opposition, they're very difficult opponents rather, and they are games that have in the past counted a significant amount, just by playing them, they've actually had a huge impact already because they automatically give us the 32 points for scheduling one of the other Big 4 teams, and then the points that are given for those teams' records as the season goes on. It's a different system, but once you kind of look at the numbers, it starts to all make sense.
While most people are settling into cubicles and sifting through inboxes, others are busy building the foundation of the future, one brick, pipe, and electrical line at a time. The construction industry in Mississippi needs over 100,000 skilled tradespeople today. If you're looking for an in-demand, well-paying career, visit buildmississippi.com to discover rewarding careers in the trades. Your future is waiting. Let's build it.
All right, Craig Bowman here, once again, head football coach. And Coach, what we've been talking about and what we've seen so far is that we expected the start of this season to be a difficult front-loaded part of the schedule, kind of the complete flip of last year where we had a lot of running clock. We had, by the time we played MRA last year, the backups had logged more minutes than the starters, right? And so we're sitting here going into prep week, and we know now that this is a team that has already started to be put through the ringer a little bit, and you've seen much more pressure situations. What are you seeing right now in this team? I know it's times in which it's been frustrating as well, but what are you seeing and what are you guys telling the team as far as there's still a lot more season to go?
It's really hard, especially for a high school student, to kind of see past the here and now and understand that there's a bigger picture. I think it's maybe hard for our parents. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
But because I'm sure our kids come home unhappy, and as parents, sometimes we don't want our kids to be unhappy. But we're trying to look at the bigger picture. And so, look, I mean, I told him Friday night after the game, it hurts. I hope it hurts. And also, like, when we get to this game in November, whether it's against, the Jackson school, the Madison school, or the one here in Flowood with us, we're going to be a different team.
Yeah.
I believe that. I hope that. But also I believe that because I believe that the adversity and the toughness that we have scheduled in the first 6 games will reap something for the playoffs.
Yeah, it can be difficult, I think, for a lot of people that aren't in the day-to-day to see the bigger picture and to understand that, the process that goes into it. And sometimes you have to be challenged early on. Nothing worth having comes without some kind of fight, right?
Absolutely.
That's exactly it. And I know that's been the goal. So I know with that in mind, we remarked on the broadcast after the JA game, it's, the score was what the score was. But for the most part, that was the most, from our observation, that was the most we've seen the team play like a team so far this year.
Even starting in Pilla, we kind of started having fun again, and we really felt that at the beginning of the game. And it wasn't just because we scored first and things like that, but really because the guys were executing a game plan.
Yeah.
And even, we kind of put a little wrinkle in on extra point field goal, and we knew that either we were going to get a 2-point opportunity or they would call a timeout, which were what we were counting on. And we got a timeout and we celebrated that. So as we were sticking to the game plan, things were going well.
Yeah.
Defense had some incredible stops, and then we have 2 fumbles, and you could almost just feel the air just and it was all like, and that's something that we have to get over. There's a very famous coach that won a lot of games, a guy named Nick Saban. Don't know if the people have heard of him.
The former Kent State safety?
Yes, Kent State safety. He would say all the time that each play is a living, breathing thing for about 4 to 6 seconds. But when that play is over, when that whistle hits, it is now dead and gone.
Yeah.
And so you have to be ready for the next living, breathing time. But yeah, I'm really pleased with our direction.
Yes,
I think.
yeah.
And we'll see, but I'm seeing growth. I'm seeing excitement.
Probably the team had 90% of things put together in that ball game, but the 10% just happened to be some turnovers and some costly moments. That's part of it. But that's why you schedule difficulty early on.
Yep.
Especially because, and one thing that I think we tend to forget: this current senior class were sophomores right when the good days started.
That's right.
They came up into varsity right when we put together a team that didn't lose a game all season long and won a championship. That's an important thing, that even this senior class has room to grow, and I think that's significant. But let's talk a little bit about some of the guys that we've noticed. Obviously, we're getting some good productivity right now out of a guy like Colin McIntyre, who's kind of risen to the occasion on the field in that running back spot, and we've seen a lot of growth and improvement in a short amount of time from the quarterback Ethan Elliott as well. So let's talk a little bit about some of the guys that you can already see are rising to the occasion.
Colin just runs the ball so hard. He was what we considered either a backup or even a 3 at one point, and he ends up taking over the job because of how hard he's running the football. He's got to hold on to the football. But he is running the ball hard and things like that. And then Ethan's growing every game.
Yeah.
He did some things really well Friday night. He also has to learn from some of the reads that I think he tried to force some of his reads and stuff, especially in the run game and some of his pulls that he's had so much success with in the first 3 games. And J.A. had a great plan for him.
Yeah.
One that we were really, really proud of this Friday night was Peyton Trigg, a senior.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Peyton was coming from a system that I'm not real sure what he was taught, to really struggling with our way. And so he did it our way Friday night, and he had a heck of a game.
Yeah.
Peyton is going against the number 1 tackle in the country.
Right.
And he did a very good job again. He won Friday night against him. Ford Ray. Ford finally decided to start playing a little bit lower, and it worked out for him. And but Ford, whether he gets put on his back or whatever, he gets up for the next play. But Friday night, he was tough to deal with.
I know that the defensive coaches were pushing the notion of don't aim to make the huge play. Focus on doing your job. Because when that happens, the big plays come out of that.
That's right. Yeah. Look, we had a player say in frustration, I'm trying to do everything. And Coach Rip, me and him were right there, and we almost said at the same time, but Rip said, he said, by trying to do everything, you're really doing nothing.
Yeah.
And so, that is, and it's a hard concept to teach, and this player cares, and he wants to, but it's like, you stay in this job, and you do this little job, and if all the other 10 do their little job, we have a successful play. I think a lot of our success has been on that is not, we've had some really good players, but I think of Alex rushing.
Yes.
Man, Alex just did his job.
Yep.
And he didn't do any more, he didn't do any less. And we would tell you he made 2 plays in his senior year that it could have cost us big time. And one in the first prep game and won the state championship, and he just does his job, and so that's something that it is. There are a few things in football that doesn't change, and that's one of them.
I appreciate your time as always, and I appreciate the fact that you're willing to speak candidly in a field where a lot of people don't want to speak that candidly, and I think that's just as important as every other aspect of coaching. I think it just is.
And I think it's easy to make excuses in this job and if ands and things like that, but I think excuses lead to a little bit of disillusionment, and we got to address problems and try and fix problems, and that's what we're doing in the room, and that's part of the fun of the chess match of football. So it's hard right now, but we all do believe in that room that this team has the potential of being very different in November than we are here in September.
Yep.
And we have a whole another month, and we have a couple really tough opponents, and then we get into district play, which will kind of shift and do something different. But it's a long season.
It is.
We'll keep playing.
Yeah. And I mean, if you didn't have stuff to work on, why would you even practice?
That's right. We just show up on Friday.
That's exactly it. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Of course, and excited to see what happens Friday night. Excited to see what happens moving forward. Of course, we're just a couple weeks away from district play starting up, and those are the games. That's the other weird thing about the season so far. These games matter and don't matter at the same time.
It's
in
duality.
A weird sort of way. Yeah. The duality of man, right here in high school football.
Yep.